Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to do something that is, honestly, kind of mind-blowing. We're going to bridge the ancient dust-filled battlefields of the Mahabharata directly with the sterile, hyper-modern whiteboards of quantum physics. I am so pumped to walk you through this because we're looking at how two worlds that seem completely, totally opposite might actually just be telling the exact same story about our universe.
All right, let's jump right in. Did you know that the literal founding fathers of modern physics, guys like J. Robert Oppenheimer, were completely obsessed with ancient Eastern philosophy? And they didn't just read these texts for fun on the weekends. They actually found these deep, structural parallels between the absolute cutting-edge science they were discovering in the lab and the ancient wisdom that's been sitting right there in the Vedic scriptures for thousands of years. So picture this. On one side, you've got ancient mysticism. Deep meditation, cosmic forms, the whole spiritual philosophy. And on the other side, you have modern physics, rigorous mathematical equations, quantum mechanics, people in lab coats. Today, we're going to take these two completely different paradigms and see how they are actually just using totally different vocabularies to describe the exact same underlying reality. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll kick off with ancient meets modern, explore the field and its knower, and the two birds. Then we'll step into the lab for the quantum observer effect, entanglement, and the connection of souls. And finally, we'll wrap up with reaching perfect mental equilibrium. Okay, Section 1. Ancient meets modern. Let's see how this ancient wisdom actually built a framework that science is just now approving. Let's kick things off with a classic analogy for Brahman, the movie screen. Imagine you walk into a pitch-black theater midway through a film. You're so glued to the action, the drama, the colors, that you don't even realize there's a totally blank, silent screen behind it all. That screen is the perfect unseen substratum that our entire physical reality relies on. Without that unmoving screen, the whole chaotic, vibrant movie of our waking lives literally couldn't exist.
Moving right along to Section 2, the field and its knower. Let's look at Chapter 13 of the Bhagavad Gita.
So in Chapter 13, existence gets split into two distinct buckets. First up, we have the kshetra, which translates to the field. Now, this isn't just your physical body, it's your mind, your ego, your intellect, and basically the entire material universe. If you can touch it, feel it, or even think it, it's the field. Then you have the kshetrajna, or the knower of the field. This is the eternal observing soul. The big takeaway here, everything you experience physically and emotionally is just the field, while the pure, indestructible consciousness silently watching it all, well, that's the knower.
Now, why does making this distinction even matter? Well, Ralph Waldo Emerson really hit the nail on the head when he said, "The ancestor of every action is a thought." The Gita teaches us that whatever thoughts you sow into the field of your mind, you eventually harvest as your destiny. So to cultivate the right thoughts, you have to step back. You have to realize that you are the observer of the field, not the field itself.
Which brings us to Section 3, the two birds. This is such a brilliant metaphor.
Okay, straight from the Mundaka Upanishad, picture two totally identical birds chilling on the exact same tree. Bird number one is super restless. This is the jiva, the experiencing soul. It's constantly jumping from branch to branch, eating sweet fruits that make it super happy, and then bitter fruits that make it miserable. It's totally caught up in the drama. But higher up on the tree sits the second bird. This is the Atman, the witnessing soul. It doesn't eat, it doesn't freak out, it just silently observes. This perfectly captures our internal duality, right? We have this anxious part that reacts to every little high and low, and then we have the silent Atman that remains totally untouched by all the noise.
All right, time to step into the modern lab for Section 4, the quantum observer effect.
So how does this ancient observer stuff hold up today? Look at the legendary double-slit experiment. In quantum physics, scientists figured out something that absolutely shattered classical mechanics. Before you observe a subatomic particle, it exists in superposition. Basically, it's everywhere at once, just a wave of infinite potential. But the exact second a conscious observation is made, boom, the wave collapses into one single defined physical reality. So physics literally proves that reality stays in a state of mere potential until an observer actually steps into the picture.
It is wild when you think about it. The scientific act of observation in a sterile quantum lab flawlessly mirrors the ancient concept of the knower interacting with the field. I mean, the strict mathematical laws of the observer effect are essentially just modern translations of the exact same spiritual truths that were spoken thousands of years ago. It tells us that our consciousness, our inner observer, is actively shaping the material field of reality.
Let's take a quantum leap into Section 5, Entanglement and the Connection of Souls.
This is the absolute core of what we're talking about today.
Einstein famously and kinda hilariously called this spooky action at a distance. In the quantum realm, when two particles become entangled, they get deeply fundamentally connected. If you change one, its partner instantly matches that change, even if it's on the other side of the universe. Think of it like two cloud-synced smartphones. You update a photo on one, and it instantly updates on the other. No wires, no lag. It completely defies the speed of light and everything we thought we knew about space.
It's basically like the universe has its own invisible Wi-Fi network. Quantum entanglement shows us, mathematically, that separation is basically an illusion. The material field might look like billions of separate, disconnected pieces, but underneath, it's a single, highly sensitive digital web where an action in one tiny corner instantly vibrates throughout the entire thing.
And here is the absolute kicker. This is exactly how Chapter 13 of the Gita explains our souls. It introduces the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul. Going back to our analogy, if your individual soul is a single smartphone, the Paramatma is the unified cosmic server that connects literally every living being. It is the ultimate form of quantum entanglement. Because we are all fundamentally entangled through this cosmic network, to hurt another living being is quite literally to hurt your own interconnected soul. Science and spirituality are saying the exact same thing here.
All right, final stop. Section 6, reaching perfect mental equilibrium. Let's synthesize all of this. Let's tie this all together using thermodynamics. I know, physics class, but stick with me. Look at how these rigid scientific laws beautifully mirror the spiritual journey. The first law says energy is never destroyed, only transformed, just like the indestructible Atman moving through lives. The second law deals with entropy, the natural drift toward disorder, which maps flawlessly to mental karma. And the third law? It states that as temperature drops to absolute zero, entropy hits a minimum, perfect state of order. That is the exact spiritual equivalent of moksha, perfect liberation.
Let's zoom in on that second law for a sec, mental entropy. In physics, if you leave an enclosed system alone, it naturally drifts into total chaos. It's literally like a teenager's messy bedroom left unchecked. Well, our minds do the exact same thing. When you obsess over an outcome you just can't control, like, say, a job promotion or what someone thinks of you, you generate massive mental friction. The ancients called this karma, modern physicists call it entropy. Either way, you're burning up precious energy but getting absolutely zero forward movement.
So what's the fix? Well, by practicing selfless action, acting without stressing over the results, you basically turn your mind into a high-quality mental thermos. Think about it. If you pour boiling hot coffee into a really good thermos, it doesn't matter if there's a literal freezing blizzard of stress and chaos going on outside in the material world. The inside stays completely stable. By doing this, you bring that internal mental agitation all the way down to an absolute zero state, achieving that perfect quantum superposition of peace.
So I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought. When we look at the quantum observer effect next to the knower of the field, or when we put quantum entanglement right next to the Paramatma, you really got to ask yourself, are mystics in deep meditation and scientists standing at whiteboards simply using two different vocabularies to describe the exact same deeply interconnected universe? I highly encourage you to keep questioning the magnificent reality around you. Thanks for hanging out with me on this explainer, and keep exploring.